Commission meeting of December 20th, 2022. I'm going to start with a roll call. Nancy Shoemaker.
Here.
Marilyn Fifield. George Jessup. Cheryl Powell.
I'm here.
Nancy Clark.
Here.
Jack Kay.
Here.
Barbara DiBiase.
I'm here.
Thank you. Notice of recording. Please note that this meeting is recorded and broadcast on Channel 18 in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter. Anyone is taping this meeting and to please make their presence known. Acting under the provisions of the Code of the Town of Barnstable, subsection 112.
We've lost you, Fran.
It appears we may have lost Fran entirely.
And a couple people, no, one person was frozen there for a second, but
Yeah, she's still frozen. Fran is still frozen.
All right, so I guess let's maybe put on pause and see if Fran can sign back in, and then we'll restart.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you. And David, as long as I'm chatting with you, could you give me the ability to share my screen?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
yeah, and Elizabeth, I don't know if it was you or Fran who put the extra stuff. Thank you. I sent you the email. Thank you very much, whoever did that. And Erica, it's nice to see you. We put a name with a face.
Yes, welcome, Erica.
Nice to meet y'all too.
If we're on a brief pause for a second, can I ask Mr. Stepanek? I believe we know each other.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can see you. I couldn't see you before. You were kind of in shadows.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, I just wanted to make sure you understood that I'll have to recuse for yours. It's nothing negative or anything. It's just that if you know somebody.
Sure.
But you know, just keep it all squeaky clean.
I understand.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Has somebody called Fran to see if she's aware of what's going on?
I was just about to say the same thing. Thank you, Nancy. I think that's an excellent idea.
I don't have her phone number.
I don't have it on me. It's at home. I'm sorry.
I can call.
I think she's back, Fran. Yeah, somebody's in the waiting room.
Oh, there she is. Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Fran. We're still not hearing you.
You're muted, Fran.
Yeah. There. Now you're not.
Did I get through the notice of recording?
You didn't quite finish it. I don't know where.
All right. Acting under the provisions of the Code of the Town of Barnstable, subsection 112-1 through 112-7, the Historical Commission will hold a public hearing on the following applications. The following applications have been determined significant and were referred to a public hearing. The first continued application is the Osterville Property Holdings 1 LLC 186 Windswept Way, Osterville, map 052, parcel 002/000, built circa 1933, full demolition to demolish the main structure. We've had a request to continue this till our January meeting. So I would accept a motion for that.
I will move that we continue this to the January meeting. And the January meeting is
The 17th at 3 o'clock. And
I'll
can we just
second the motion.
Can we just
Nancy.
confirm Attorney Gill is here? Is that the preferred time and date for a continuance?
Nancy Clark, second.
Thank you, Nancy. Is Mr. Gill here or?
Madam Chair, I'm here listening in and would appreciate the continuance to give us some more time to develop the plans and make a good faith attempt at trying to find some options that are more palatable to the Historical Commission.
Great, thank you. I hope you have a very good holiday and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy holidays to everybody on the call.
we have a motion and a second. Did you want to vote on that, Madam Chair?
I was about to do that, thank you. So roll call, Nancy Shoemaker,
Here.
Marilyn Fifield,
Yes.
George Jessup, Cheryl Powell,
Yes.
Nancy Clark,
Yes.
Jack Kay,
Yes.
and Barbara Biasi.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Okay, the next continued application is for Mr. Niall Moran, 50 Main Street, Hyannis, map 342, parcel 026, built 1866 to 1880, inventoried, full demolition to demolish the structure. Is anyone here for 50 Main Street, Hyannis?
Yes.
Yeah, I am. I'm here.
So, do we have any discussion on this property?
Yes.
Please go ahead. Any committee members?
George is muted. I think he was trying to talk. George, you're still muted.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, I tried to make arrangements to visit the site, but I was unable to. A number of things happened in the past month to prevent it. So I do not have a report on the condition of the building, and we must rely on the applicant for the condition as presented.
Thank you, George. Did anyone else visit the building? I visited the building.
Yeah, I was able to.
Fran, are you frozen again? Hey.
Peter?
Fran?
We seem to have lost Fran again.
No, I'm here. I'm all right.
Perhaps Peter would discuss what he saw when he visited the site.
He's muted.
He is also muted.
Tim O'Neill, I'm going to have to ask you to discuss what you saw when you visited the site.
Madam Vice Chair, if I could interject, I would suggest that Nancy take over the conduction of the meeting as Vice Chair.
Have we, I'm not sure which level what I should go to first, but any comments from the public, I think would be next. Hearing none. Yes. Comments and discussion from the applicants.
This is Cheryl Powell. I want to thank the applicants for coming back because I know they were hoping for something last time. So thank you very much for being willing to come back. I'd be interested in hearing anything additional that they have to say.
Yes, I would like to thank the applicants as well. Thank them for coming back, playing along, you know what I'm saying?
And Fran is now back, and we're not hearing you, but you're moving.
Yeah, so,
good.
So I did actually view the building, and as I said, it looked to me to be originally a full cape that has a window where the original front door would have been. And, you know, the door was moved to the side. It is in tough shape, but I'm pretty sure that that's the only full cape left on that stretch of Main Street. So that's my comment. Any other comments?
Jack, did you get a chance to go there by given chance or not?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Okay. So, well, would someone like to make a motion? Yeah, right.
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
might recommend that you do close the public hearing on this item prior to vote.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing, please.
May the applicant say something?
After we close the hearing, please.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, Nancy Shoemaker.
Okay.
And just to qualify, that's the public comment, not the hearing. I think that's where the confusion came. That's my apologies.
So, Nancy Shoemaker?
Aye.
Marilyn Fifield?
Who?
Vote to close the public hearing, Marilyn?
Aye.
George Jessup?
Aye.
Cheryl Powell?
Yes.
Nancy Clark?
Aye.
Jack Kay?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. I vote aye, Francis Parks. Now, is there any public comment?
No.
Mrs. Moran, do you want to make a comment?
No.
Fran, are you frozen again?
No.
Is Peter G?
Can I ask for an identification of Peter G?
Yeah.
With respect?
My name is Craig.
Okay.
Do we have Sarah Beal by any chance on or Stone?
David is on right now. Do you want me to?
Hi, David. Do we know who Peter G is?
I do not. I can remove
the source of the problem. Can we find out?
Yeah, let me. I don't know.
Could you please remove iPhone 6 unless you want to identify yourself, please?
Thank you, Jessica.
And Madam Vice Chair, I would resume your duties as I think we've lost Fran again.
Yeah. Okay. So
I just talked to the communications director. Apparently there are a couple of Zooms right now that are going on that we're having trouble with. I would ask David if he could remove people who are not identified or don't belong at the meeting, and Sarah Beal will be here in a moment to check in.
Okay, I'll do that.
So Fran, you are back, but you need to be unmuted. You're still muted, Fran. There you are. You should be fine now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Do we still have Mrs. Moran? Yes. Deborah Mason? Would you like to speak?
Yes. Yep. So I'd like to speak to the demolition of this building. And I know that there is an excerpt in the Protection of Historic Properties article that speaks to our demolition. And this is Article I believe. It says, notwithstanding the preceding sentence, the building commissioner may issue a demolition permit for a preferably preserved significant building at any time after receipt of written advice from the commission to the effect that either the commission is satisfied that there is no reasonable likelihood that either the owner or some other person or group is willing to purchase, preserve, rehabilitate, or restore such building, or the commission is satisfied that the owner has made continuing bona fide and reasonable efforts to locate a purchaser to preserve, rehabilitate, and restore the subject building, and that such efforts have been unsuccessful. A bit of a timeline history on this property is that the property was used as medical practice. I know that years ago, Dr. Thrope was in it. And in 2007, Dr. Cochrane purchased the property for his medical practice. In 2017, he reached his retirement. He vacated the building and asked that the building be marketed for sale. The building at that point in time in 2017 had deferred maintenance and was in failing disrepair. And this was in 2017. In 2019, the building did not sell. He did not make payments on it. And in 2019, the lender filed a notice of foreclosure. The property continued to be marketed, and the market for a dated, non-compliant medical office is extremely weak. However, the demand for housing is strong, and multiple apartment-minded buyers. So there is a very strong market for apartment dwellings in the area. There is not a market at this time for a dated, non-compliant medical office. In July of 2021, the lender filed a foreclosure deed and took the property back. Dan Russell Remarks out of Worcester also tried marketing it. There were multiple offers submitted by investors hoping to take advantage of the zoning and to build multifamily housing units. Finally, an offer was accepted in September of 2021, which was Mr. Morin, who also had the intent of building multifamily units on the property, but it has not worked out for him at this time. And so that was why we had put together a plan, an offer and a plan to remove the building and replace it by providing the town of Barnstable, the town of Hyannis, with much needed housing, which would provide them with 16 beds. In our opinion, to save this house would cost somewhere in the vicinity of $1 million. And all you would get out of it is maybe 4 beds. And I'm really having difficulty understanding the town not seeing the need for 16 beds, lacking the housing to salvage for 4 beds and potentially 4 beds, and something that is completely cost inhibitive for any developer to take on to try to restore that house. It is in deplorable condition. It is not safe. You can't enter it. It's rotting. It's completely filled with mold, completely. And so the rats have literally taken over the property. The foundation has separated from the building. The building has vinyl siding, and it is absolutely deplorable. I know that our plan provides for what the growth incentive zone is looking for in housing. We have committed to the town of Hyannis, to the village of Hyannis, as you all know, with what we did with 63 Main Street. And believe me, if we could in some way do the same with this as what we did with 63 Main, we would be all on board. It is cost prohibitive. It cannot be done. It cannot. So that's where we are in this process. We have already invested a tremendous amount of money in this property. We have already had to do all of our engineering and all of our architectural, which we're a small company. It's just the two of us. We're not out there building McMansions. We're trying to, at this point in our lives, we're honestly just trying to help the community. Yeah, we do make a profit. Yes, we are landlords, but we really try to be fair with what we do. And we really want our properties try to offer to our tenants what we ourselves would be comfortable in. And that's where we're at. We already have tens of thousands of dollars invested in this. And I just want the committee to understand this, that this was not something that we have taken lightly, and that we didn't go in there and just say, well, tear the building down. We have no respect for it. We have no respect for what's here. We don't care. And I think that the other development that we have done throughout the village of Hyannis speaks to the respect that we do have. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any discussion from the committee?
Nancy Shoemaker here. Deborah, what our purview is for historic structures, preservation of things that are historic in general. I wish I had gone to see the house. I didn't realize that George couldn't get over there. But you are also on the other, and the use of the house is not our purview, but you're making a strong case for the house being likely not being able to be preserved. Again, I wish we could have seen it, but you are making a strong case in that way.
Any other comments from the committee members?
Yes, we do have an agent that is responsible for deciding whether that building should be torn down or not, and that's the building commissioner. He has it within his authority to order the demolition of a structure that he deems to be unsafe, that he deems to be irrevocably beyond repair, and therefore must be torn down. And I think we should petition the building commissioner to do just that, to consider ordering through his office the full demolition of the property.
This is Cheryl. I actually like that idea.
But can I also say that at that point, we have him then contact the historical commission, and we give them permission to demolish it if he says it should be?
I think we can simply say that we yield to his authority, right, which is to order demolition of properties he deems unsafe.
Right.
I think that, Jessica, if you could clarify, I think that is within our purview, is it not, to defer to the building commissioner to have a look at it?
Yeah, I would say you could, but if the applicant is looking to have it declared an uninhabitable, then that would be the building commissioner's purview. But you could also make a ruling determined upon decision.
Yeah, when I was chair, this is Nancy Clark, when I was chair, which has been several times, when the building commissioner deems a building is unsafe, then that building, he contacts the head of the historic to see if there is something that is specifically worth saving about the building before he orders the demolition. But I think it's our job to decide whether or not we feel the building is something that contributes to the town, to the village of Hyannis, to the town of Barnstable.
Yeah, Jessica, I just want to apologize. I wasn't trying to suggest that we kick the can down the road, but I didn't want to come off that way. But I think I take on board everything it said there.
May I make a suggestion, Fran? The provisions in the ordinance that deal with emergency demolition are, yeah, when I think the building commissioner finds that a significant building, and the language in the ordinance is present a clear and present danger to the safety of the public, which only demolition can prevent. I mean, in my observation of this commission, typically it's been put on the applicant to provide as an analysis by a third party regarding the sort of structural safety of a building. And then certainly I think we could ask the building commissioner to review that.
Yeah, I like that.
Mhm.
Marilyn Fifield has her hand up.
Marilyn?
He's muted.
I asked her to unmute it, so.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry. I was just going to remind that our own inventory form, for which we paid a historic preservation consultant, and that was like, what, 11 years ago? And they found it still to be historic and to qualify as part of a possibly, if ever, expanded waterfront historic district. So they found it worthy 11 years ago. What may have happened in the meantime, I guess none of us know. But I just wanted to remind that. Thank you, Marilyn.
I would suggest, Fran, that we have the owners have the house surveyed for its safety, its condition, and also maybe have the building commissioner take a look at the house too.
Okay. Would that be
I don't want to spend even more.
Yeah, can I intervene a little bit there? If we have it, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but if it's survey and building commissioner, are we not asking for substantial more cost by having it surveyed as well as the building commissioner? I'm just putting it out there.
Normally, that is the request that is made, not the town at all. That's kind of unusual. What we normally done is asked for a survey from a licensed surveyor of the property.
A structural engineer or whatever. If the property has vermin present, that's Board of Health problem. If there is structural damage that prohibits entry, that's building inspector's purview. If we cannot do more than simply review the exterior for its historic value without entering the building to determine its structural integrity and its possible future use, then I think it's up to those people that have been charged by statute to do that for us. And the building commissioner and the Board of Health are two entities that have been by statute given authority to do condemnations.
Can I ask the applicants? I mean, they're listening to what our discussion here. What are your reactions? Does it sound something you'd be willing to entertain?
Well, we're under contract with Niall Moran, who is on the call. I know he's out of country. He may not be able to speak, but I see him on the call. So that would be under the purview of Mr. Moran to do this due diligence. We are looking to develop this property to, take the building down and create 16 bedrooms and an office, all brand new on the site. So Mr. Moran, it's his due diligence then what you're asking to be done. He would have to then go move forward with that. That is not that doesn't fall under us. We're here representing ourselves as the developer. And we want for the committee to understand what value we are trying to bring to the village of Hyannis, and where we do have a history with the village, and you all know our work, and you're more than welcome, any one of you, to stop by 63 Main and see what we've done with that building. That's why we're here. We have a very big commitment. We've made a big financial commitment to the village of Hyannis, and we, you know, and that's why we're doing this. We understand what is going on with the housing situation, and it's frightening. We know what's happening within Hyannis as well as other towns, what people are going through, how people are having to leave the Cape, leave all over because they have no place to live and nothing that's affordable. And
again, Ms. Mason, that's not our purview.
I understand that, but you're asking me why I'm here, why we're talking. I'm explaining to you. I also would like to say something to the committee, and I mean no disrespect here, but I just think that I want to say something to the committee. My husband and I have been doing this for a very, very long time. I also did the Zoning Board of Appeals for the town of Harwich. I'm also a realtor with Cape and Islands Board of Realtors. And I just want to say that when something comes up before a board, and again, I mean no disrespect, so I just want you to understand where I'm coming from. We have been before historic commissions in many towns here on the Cape. The zoning boards, the planning boards. I find it highly unusual that when you have a property that we're asking for a demo on, and nobody from the board goes to visit the property prior to the hearing. So honestly, and I'm just saying this, and I'm not looking to get on the bad side of anyone, I feel like we're wasting time in spinning wheels. And I feel like had everybody made a day trip or taken some time to visit this property, we would be a lot further ahead than where we are now. So we ended up having to postpone. We're here today. I know we're looking at another postponement. And when you're a business person, time is money, and rates are going up. And I just find it unusual that everybody didn't go to visit this property so we could have a reasonable discussion about it.
Well, if I had known that George was planning to go, and he obviously has a major reason why he couldn't, I wish I had known that I would have gone. But also, to request a survey on the house condition is a pretty standard thing to do. There are times when we can go visit a house and we don't know what kind of mold is in the house and so on. And there are different types of molds that have different impact on the people in it. So yeah, I would guess that we might be doing another postponement. I will make sure I see the house, but also by your having a survey done by someone who is in the business of doing building inspection, and have that done for the next meeting would certainly move things along.
I'd like to comment to that, though.
Sure.
Just based upon what you said to rationalize your own position there, okay? Had you visited the property when it was advertised and we came to the first meeting, see, we would have had that immediately at that first meeting. You would have asked for that survey then. Now we're at this meeting and trying to find somebody over the holidays and going into the next year, we're that much further behind. So I don't find that a good rationalization whatsoever. If you're asking for that when you do a tear down on a building to demolish something, you ask for that right up front. That should be your criteria that you've already established, and you even published that criteria. We had no idea you were going to ask for that.
I think that
You say it was standard operating procedure, but I didn't see anything in your criteria that said we had to have that.
Elizabeth, is there, it's been a standard process that we've done. Is there a text that can be given to the applicants to explain that?
I'm checking now. I believe it is on the application form, and I do recall that we had this conversation at the last meeting. And actually, I'm looking at the meeting minutes right now, and it does indicate that the board indicated the need for a structural engineer to prove this structure cannot be preserved. So, I mean, we did talk about this. We did talk about the need for additional evidence to support the applicant's claim that the building is not salvageable at the last meeting.
Elizabeth, can I ask, I know this is unusual, but sometimes things are unusual, right? Is there any reason why we can't try to marry up a time ASAP to meet with the building inspector to go around? Because we only go through the outside of the property. We don't go through the inside of the property, of course. But the I'm more than happy to make the time. Nancy, you've just said that you're willing to make the time. Maybe we can do it together so we're not being more than intrusive. I would personally request that we wait till I'd wait till beginning of next week. Let's get Christmas over. But
we probably do need a professional to
look at the building,
check out, particularly mold and rot. Yeah.
Well,
when we visit properties, we never go in them.
Well, that's what I just said. We don't go in them.
We don't go in them if they're not safe, if they're full of mold, if they're decayed. That's why we have a professional that does that for us.
But I must say too, for the applicants, that if we can probably put in our minutes that if a surveyor decides and gives us a good full report of the condition of the building, that we might be able to then expedite it at that time and not have to wait till the next meeting. Is that correct, Fran? That we could vote for a contingency of receiving a report?
We should be able to do that. Is that all right, Elizabeth?
I'm sorry, I missed that. Can you clarify, Ms. Schumacher?
To vote for a contingency that once we have a structural report, the chair can make the decision, basically.
I think it was we would make the decision, not the chair would make the decision, from what Nancy Shoemaker was.
No, I would think the chair. That's been done in the past.
Yes, it has.
If I have to give you an answer, I mean, I would say at this point, there's been a determination that this building is significant and thus it's been referred to a hearing, and that at this point, the determination regarding demolition delay or no demolition delay requires a vote of the commission.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the, I guess, it's that additional determination of significance that is allowed to be done administratively by the chair.
Okay, so Nancy, did you want to say something?
Just that our vote has to be whether the building is significant enough that it deserves to be saved. That's all we can rule on.
Right. So we're at the point now where you know, we'd like to request a continuance of this application to give the applicants the chance to do a structural survey.
I'll make that motion that we do a continuance. I believe it, correct me if I'm wrong, it's January 7th.
I'll second that. Nancy Shoemaker.
Okay. So any further comment from the commissioners?
What was the motion? I couldn't hear.
The motion was to continue the hearing to allow the petitioners to get a structural report on the building.
If I may, Madam Chair, it should be continued to a date certain.
I did put it to
Yes.
January 17th, which I believe is the next meeting.
I approve that amendment to the motion.
It was in there. You asked if there's any further comment. I want to thank I know it's awkward. I know it's, as you say, it's time consuming, but I want to thank the applicants for bearing with us on this. I know it's difficult. And I think every commissioner does realize that. Appreciate it.
I would like to say that the reason that they didn't get to the to inspect the property is that I was hospitalized with respiratory failure. And that meant that I could not possibly go into that building if there was the slightest hint of mold. I had examined the building from the exterior, but I was really unable to visit close to the building or inside the building as a result of the hospitalization. So I thank you for your forbearance.
With the applicant's permission, I'm happy to go. And Nancy Shoemaker, you said you're happy to go too.
But the survey should also be done. Yeah.
Should be done. Right. But that way we have firsthand. Maybe we could coordinate a time so that it's less intrusive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that we doubt you, but we do have to have it with a hearing. We have to have some facts in front of us. That's all.
So I can be clear, if you would, you're talking about a survey from the building commissioner. Is that true?
No, usually, am I right, Fran? It would be you have someone who is a professional building surveyor. I mean,
somebody who is a professional who rates mold and also stability. That is not something that we put on the town building inspector to do. It's something that is privately arranged by the owners.
Any licensed architect or any licensed structural engineer can accomplish a lot of that.
There are also building inspectors for mortgages, et cetera, that can be utilized.
So we have a continuance on the floor.
On the table. So do roll call vote. Nancy Shoemaker?
I to continue to January 17th.
Marilyn Fifield?
Aye.
George Jessup?
Aye.
Cheryl Powell?
Yes.
Jack Kay?
Aye.
Fran Parks, aye.
And I also vote aye. Nancy Clark.
Oh, sorry, Nancy.
So hopefully this will work out. We just have to have some paperwork done for this, and likely things will happen.
I'd be happy to do the review on the property also.
Thank you, Jack.
George, are you okay?
I am right now, yes.
Okay.
Thank
you. All right. The next
I'm sorry, so can I just do one procedural cleanup? Because sure. I think there was a vote to close the public hearing. Did
yes.
If there is additional information that's coming into the record, that hearing should be kept open. So just as a note, I think by voting to continue, the commission is implying that hearing is going to stay open.
Excellent point. Would it help if I make a motion that we leave it open?
I would feel better about it, just so it's clean and for the record. Thank you.
I totally
agree.
You
need to make a motion to rescind the previous motion to close the hearing.
Keep the public hearing open.
We'll make a motion. I make a motion that we keep the public hearing open, amending the previous request to make a motion to close it.
I'll second that, Jack K.
All right. So it's a roll call vote. Jack Kay,
Aye.
Nancy Clark,
Aye.
Cheryl Powell,
Cheryl?
Aye. Am I muted? No, I'm not muted. Aye.
thank you, Nancy.
Okay, Fran might be frozen again. Nancy Shoemaker says aye too.
George Jessup, aye.
Nancy, I don't want to forget you this time.
Jack Kay, aye. Fran Parks, aye.
And Barbara?
I think we have a full, so
She doesn't vote.
Marilyn Fifield,
we
aye.
don't need the alternate, correct?
We miss Nancy Clark again?
Thank you, Marilyn.
She voted.
Thank you.
All right. So we will come and visit, the three of us, and
Okay.
look forward to seeing your survey.
And quick question for Elizabeth, just to clarify, if there's going to be the three of us going, do we need to post that?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we do because it's not a quorum.
Not quite a quorum, yeah.
It's not.
I didn't
but-
understand what'd you say, Cheryl?
I'm just asking Elizabeth Jenkins if she can clarify, just so that we keep it squeaky clean, that if there's three of us that are going, I don't think we need to post that because there's only three and we need four for a quorum. There's some differences in some of the commissions for that needs to be
No,
posted.
you don't need to post that.
So
As
a
long as you're
quorum- a
just
quorum
going
is-
to,
Yeah, I'm sorry, Fran, go ahead.
as long as you're just going to look at the property and you do not have any discussions or deliberations about it, you can go look at it, view, whatever.
There shall not be deliberation.
Absolutely. Okay. All right.
All right, moving on to 106 Longwood Avenue, Hyannis. Map 287, parcel 031, built circa 1910, contributing building in the Hyannisport National Register Historic District. Partial demolition, remove and rebuild attic dormers, replace gables and windows. Is there anyone here to speak to the Schaefer project?
Yeah, Craig, I think you're muted.
Yeah, all right. I think I'm off. Thank you. Yes, I'm representing Gerard and Ruth Taylor in the proposed
Schaefer.
renovation. Schaefer, excuse me, wrong client. And I just want to see if we have any questions from the board.
We will need a review of what you're planning to do.
You have the plans. They were submitted with the original.
But we always do, for public knowledge, we need to
Okay.
have them out at our meeting.
All right. Do you want to put the, do you want to screen share the plans?
I will screen share the plans, Mr. Ashworth, right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
All right. This is the existing building, and these are the existing dormers facing south. And the next page shows the proposed, excuse me, that shows the gable facing east. These are the proposed replacement dormers. We're just trying to improve the ventilation and lighting. This is an existing space, dates back to the use of the original house. The dormers that are on there actually were added at some point. And as the family's growing, the kids need a place to hang out topside. And
Okay. Yeah.
this is the same gable facing east. It's a larger, better view of the water and ventilation.
Craig,
Yep.
are those windows big enough to qualify as egress? If it's going to be anything with storage, you need egress windows. And I thought that was one of the reasons you wanted to expand the glass area of the 2 dormers. So
Well,
that
it's not a bedroom, and but you know, obviously the picture window in the center could become a double hung or a casement.
or an awning. Yeah.
Well, awning, yeah, they don't make an awning that satisfies egress, but we can get a casement that size that satisfies egress.
Okay. So the others, the 2 dormers are inadequate.
Those are the current dormers, yes, and they would be too high, I believe.
44 inches.
Yeah, I think they would be too high.
The new ones.
The new ones, I believe. But I think, you know, we have a window in the gable facing the street.
Yes.
Which would satisfy egress.
And that's only 1 room on the top floor. That's all 1 room.
Okay. That is within a bathroom, and actually we have been permitted use of an egress window in an attic space such as this on a project we are currently doing.
Well, in case of, instead of an awning window in those dormers, they could be casement windows.
They certainly, yeah, those are lower.
So they could meet that requirement, and the design is appropriate for doing just that.
Yep. We can have a casement made with any grill pattern that would be on a double hung or a casement. In fact, we have a wider mid rail so that they're not discernible from any distance.
Yes. There's also a French casement with no center mullion.
Correct.
Okay, that was for the benefit of the rest of the committee, so that we just realize why we need bigger windows on the 3rd floor. That it's a code issue, and that the potential for 2 bedroom areas up there does remain.
Yeah, we can't have a bedroom up there. The house would not qualify because of the size of the septic system. This is just existing space. It's been used in the past for storage and as a bunk room. It would be used now for kids to have a TV room. You know, the parents have used up all the space in the house as the family grows. And there is an existing bathroom up there that dates back. I suspect it was probably used for staff back at when the house was originally built. And but you know, home office, things like that when they have guests and visitors.
Okay, thank you.
I'd make a motion, but don't we need public comment first? Fran? Oh. Fran, you're muted. Are you there?
I think we lost Fran.
So should I move to public comment?
Yes, go ahead, Nancy. Yeah. Make it.
Okay. Anyone from the public wanting to comment on this house at 106 Longwood Avenue, Hyannis? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion if you
like.
like.
Or any comment, I should say, from anyone else too on the board, on the commission.
I think first we close the public hearing.
Okay, yeah, and Nancy, make sure I do this right.
I so move.
You need to, okay, and a second from?
I'll second it, Jack Hay.
Okay, Jack, your vote on closing the public hearing?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Nancy Clark?
Aye.
Fran? And we're not hearing from her, Marilyn Fifield?
Aye.
And I vote aye also. So now we'll entertain a motion on this project?
I'll be happy to make that motion if you wish. This is on 106 Longwood. So with regard to Schaefer, Jared K. Trustee, 106 Longwood Avenue, Hyannis, map 287, parcel 031, built circa 1910, contributing building in a Hyannisport National Register district for a partial demolition to remove and rebuild the attic dormers and to replace gable and windows. So I move that after review and consideration of public testimony, the application and associated materials, the significant building at 106 Longwood Avenue, Hyannis, is a preferably preserved significant building.
I'll second that, Jack Hay.
All right, we'll put this to a vote, starting with George.
Aye.
Cheryl?
Yes, aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Fran is back. Fran, we're voting on.
You got Elizabeth. Elizabeth has something.
So I'm sorry, I'm not an expert on these motions, but isn't it the nay that will not impose the delay?
Right.
So an aye vote will impose a delay, a nay vote will not impose a delay.
I thought that next part of this, the applicant, the vote was whether it is a preferably preserved structure.
Right. So an aye vote would impose a delay, a nay vote would not impose a delay.
I mean, I was unaware there was a second part to that, so.
Now that everyone's aware of that, I vote
Go.
and nay vote would allow us to continue on with our vote.
Very well.
We're at the end of a tunnel. I think all I'm hearing is end of tunnel stuff. Can just Nancy respond to that on the aye and the nay, please?
And I would impose a 18-month delay. A nay would not impose an 18-month delay and move on to the next.
That's what I've got. Thank you.
So can we start again with Marilyn Fifield?
Nay.
George?
Nay.
Are you all hearing that echoing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we check, David, that we don't have
Yeah.
our back?
Yeah, it must be somebody's feedback, but I don't know who that if I see it, maybe I'll try to mute it and see if that helps.
Okay, so we've done Cheryl.
I don't think we did, but I'm going with a nay.
Okay, and I did Jack. He was a nay. George?
Nay.
Fran?
I'm going to abstain.
Ah, there's our echo.
Okay. Marilyn? Marilyn, your vote of?
I was a nay. I still am a nay.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry. And Nancy
That's
Clark?
okay.
Nay.
And I'm a nay also. So moving on to the next motion.
The next group, I'm going down to if motion one fails, therefore it's a nay vote, and carrying on with that, I move that in accordance with section 112-3F, the Barnstable Historical Commission determines that the partial demolition of the building located at 106 Longwood Avenue, Hyannis, is not detrimental to the historical, cultural, and architectural heritage or resources of the town.
I'll second that, Jack.
Okay, so we will vote on that.
So an aye vote determines that the partial demolition is not detrimental and no demolition delay is imposed.
Right. All right, George.
Aye.
Aye.
Cheryl. Jack.
Aye.
Marilyn.
Aye.
Nancy Clark.
Aye.
Fran.
I muted Fran because she has two windows up right now, so that's probably where the reverb is coming from.
Okay. And can you remove that other window of Fran so it doesn't reverberate for us? And yeah. I will also now end this with I also say aye. So you have permission, Craig, to do your very simple demolition, and we thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays to all. Thank you.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Fran, take over again. Sorry. You're muted. Fran.
Okay. I'll try. The next applicant is Michael Stepanek, 311 East Bay Road, Osterville, map 163, parcel 022, built circa 1917, not inventoried. Proposed additions and extensions of deck.
And Madam Chair, just to remind you, I am recusing on this one.
Thank you. And who's here for 311 East Bay Road?
Yes, I'm the owner. Can you hear me, Cheryl?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Could you tell us about your project?
Yes, it's an extension of the roof over an existing deck. The existing deck will be enlarged slightly, and the roof, the extension of the roof will allow shade on the outside deck, which is to prevent obviously sun from reaching the deck. That's the entire purpose of it. I've been involved with the skin cancer diagnosis, and so it was recommended not to spend any time out there any longer. So that was part of the reason for the project. And that's essentially it.
Thank you. Any comments?
I'm sorry. Can I make one more comment?
Sure.
I guess it was relayed to me that the reason that they wanted to look at it, meaning you folks, was that you, I'll quote here, the proposed project is a significant increase in the mass of the house. Therefore, it demands a review. There is no real expansion of the square footage of the house in the project. So I wanted to make sure that there was no misunderstanding.
It's the visual.
Any comments from anyone?
Could I see the elevation again, please? I'd like to see where the roof is being expanded. That's that shows a balcony, a covered balcony on the second floor.
Yes.
Is that the intent?
Yes.
That's a flat roof, not a pergola?
It's, well, the new design you're asking?
Yes, please.
It's a design extension that I copied from a picture of the Wheelwright House in Woods Hole, which was made back in 1888. And it's designed after they have a small porch on the end of their home. And I made the same type of a design with the architect.
So this is the portion that is accessed by the spiral staircase.
Yes.
And extends across the end of the house.
Yes.
It is designed so that it aligns with the columns and windows and doors of the floor below. As
yes.
Balanced elevation.
Yes.
Do we have a side view of that that shows the roof extended? Not the one below it, that doesn't show it. How about to the right-hand side there? Back up, there you go. Okay, you were holding on it just a second ago. Yeah, right there. But this doesn't show an extended roof.
There is a section that does show exactly what you're looking for, yes.
How much does it extend? Is the full deck, and what's that dimension approximately?
The existing deck extends out from the in the upstairs bedroom 9 feet. And the roof would cover that. It would be an extension of an additional 5 feet, I believe. So it wouldn't be 9 feet any longer. It would be 14 feet.
So the roof covers the full 14 feet?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Does that match up with the roof, with the deck below?
Yes.
Okay. So it's basically squared up at the end.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That fully explains what you propose to do for me anyway.
Elizabeth or I don't know which one of you, or Erica, which one of you has the plan control, but could you put them up again, please?
Sure, and I apologize. I do think we are missing a sheet. I see A2 and A4, but I will see if I can find that remaining sheet, but I will share what I have. It's photos of the existing dwelling and the portions that are changing. And then this is A4, the east elevation, existing and proposed.
Okay, go lower. That's the end I want to look at.
The west elevation, existing and proposed.
Okay, can we see, you've got, the roof line changes considerably. It appears on both sides of the house and at the end.
I don't see it, but
from the barn roof to, there's now an extension coming out that blocks where the windows are currently and takes two double windows and makes it one single window instead of doubles. And it really changes the face of that side of the house.
Oh, that's the back side of the house.
Okay, it could be the front, it could be the back, it could be the side, but it's changed significantly.
That's not in the proposal. That's already been approved by the town and the historical commission.
We approved this end of the house?
Yes.
Okay, I don't remember that. Maybe it was a meeting I missed. Thank you.
So maybe just to help simplify it for everybody to know, again, it's removal of the existing bay windows and front porch, removal of wall for new additions, and removal of the rear bay window and rear deck porch, window replacements, alterations.
Yes, I believe I had the description in there, exactly what was happening. This is all need to do with the front part of the house, the part that we're kind of missing that left-hand side so that you can have a better idea of how far it extends. I see she hasn't been able to find it right now.
Could we see the front photograph that was presented earlier?
Yeah, here is that, and here's that missing
There it is.
sheet.
Yes, that's it right there.
Here's that missing sheet.
That's
again,
the missing sheet.
On the right, you can see the existing. On the left, you can see the proposed.
I see. I see a second floor modification. Over the word south in the title. It looks to me like the projected bay has been squared up. And on the right-hand side, the projection also includes the spiral staircase. And it's a hip roof, not a flat roof. So it projects the hip end of that closed-in room below and the open deck above. And that hip roof is below the ridge of the main gambrel. Okay.
Yes.
Do we have the photograph of the house as it exists so that we can see what we were looking at from the street? There we have. Now, where were you talking about? We're not talking about the fenced in, the enclosed deck cut into the roof on the second floor. We're talking about somewhere else on that elevation. Are we not? The other end of the building?
We're only talking about where that white railing goes around the deck. That's the part we're talking about. Yes.
On the left-hand side of the photograph there, as opposed to the right-hand side.
Yes, the right-hand side has been approved. Any modifications to the right-hand side has been approved, and those are have been approved by the Historical Commission.
Okay.
And the part we're concerned with is the deck with the white up above with the white gate around it, the fence around it, that will now have the extended roof coming over it. The deck is 9 feet currently, coming out 9 feet. It will come out 5 feet further, and the roof will be extended out. It's a hip type roof.
Yeah.
That will extend out that amount of space. You can see it on the left side right there.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
So that shed dormer comes off and the hip roof goes on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the pitch of the hip roof matches the upper pitch of the gambrel.
Yes.
And the wall plate is above the header of the windows in the gable end, so that the line is continuous from the right side to the left side. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we get some symmetry out of the roof shape.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments?
I was going to say, it doesn't show that the railing is cut into the roof at this point. Obviously, it must be, because there is a recess. Or are you building that out to align with the first floor?
I'm sorry, what point of the structure are you talking about?
We're talking about the
upstairs fencing.
The enclosed deck, the railing that is shown in the photograph
Yes.
is let into the roof. And where is that wall that you see in this dormer existing aligns with the first floor for support. And you're going to take off that shed dormer. Are you going to alter that end of the dormer in order to increase the floor area on the second floor, or are you simply stopping at that point with a cable end and then continuing the hip roof?
There's no enlargement of the upstairs room whatsoever.
Okay, so you're simply going from an exterior wall of the shed dormer to a gable wall that would be a reshaping of the roof as a gable, and then continuing over the porch to become a hip roof.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it blends into the existing roof with that reshaping of the shed dormer to a gable dormer, and then the hip of the porch roof. And everything is the same elevation across the front to match the return at the gable on the other side. So your wall plate is the same height all the way around on the second floor.
Yes.
Okay. Does
George,
everybody else understand what I'm talking about here?
yes, and I think it's a great improvement of adding a little bit more symmetry to the property. I think it's a good design.
Well, I think that's what I was looking for, the symmetry and in fact, the addition of the external space as a volume rather than just as flat surface. I like that. And I think it will work very well, in especially if you wish to screen it for filtering the rays of the sun for anybody that's affected by them.
It makes me wonder if they had at one time taken that sloping wall from a hip down to that wall, yeah, right there, and that it's now being corrected.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, it looks like it was a gamble at once.
Much improved. Yeah.
It's the outside shape there, Nancy, is that of a shingle style that's often seen on the waterfront. As a matter of fact, there is one, a really large one, near the Osterville Yacht Club. And it's
an improvement.
But it is an historic design, so nice continuation. All right. So I think this is an improvement that we might approve.
Thank you. Oh, God. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I move that we close the public hearing. Nancy Shoemaker.
I'll second. Joyce Jessup.
Fran? So should I continue this?
Yes. I do at 9 o'clock.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to I don't have the motions in front of me.
So to close public hearing.
Oh, that was just to close public hearing. Okay, do I hear a motion
we didn't vote.
And seconded the vote.
To determine a motion, a vote on the motion. Am I doing? Oh, Fran's back. Good, I think. No, Fran? Yeah. I don't have the motions in front of me. So.
I have the motions, but the question is, does anyone else have the motions? Remember, I'm recused, so I can re-ask Elizabeth what the legality is here in justice.
Cheryl, if you're recused, you need to turn your camera off and not.
I had the sound off, and I just checked everyone.
I appreciate. Are we? I believe we are calling for a vote to close the public hearing. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there a second?
There is, me, Joyce Jessup.
So we need to vote. Nancy Clark.
Aye.
Nancy Shoemaker.
Aye.
Marilyn Fifield.
Aye.
George Jessup.
Aye.
Cheryl Powell.
He's recused.
Oh, that's right. Jack Kay.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So, any public comment? Okay. So we need a motion to approve the.
And Cheryl has it printed out and cannot read it out to us.
I can email it.
Well, she's
I would be happy to either put it up on the screen or read it in, whatever is the pleasure of the chair.
Read it in, please.
Read it in.
The motion would be to move that after review and consideration of public testimony, the application and associated materials, the significant building at 311 East Bay Road is a preferably preserved significant building.
And an I vote would say.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Nancy
Clark.
Is there a second?
I second.
Someone needs to make the motion. I can't make the motion.
Oh, that's true. Okay. I'll make the motion, Nancy Shoemaker, of what was stated by Elizabeth.
And I heard a second from
So
Nancy
moved.
Clark. So an aye vote will impose a delay, a nay vote will not impose a delay.
So I'll do a roll call vote.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Whoa. Okay. I think she's frozen. Oh, no, you're there again. Okay, good. Fran?
We settle on
Am I
one,
here?
please.
So the roll call vote, Nancy Clark,
Hey,
Nancy Shoemaker,
Hey.
Marilyn,
Nay.
George,
Hey,
Fran Parks, nay, Jack.
Nay.
Okay. So we need,
The
if
next
the motion fails, a nay vote.
So the motion would be to move in accordance with section 112.3F. The Barnstable Historical Commission determines that the partial demolition of the building located at 311 East Bay Road, Osterville, is not detrimental to the historical, cultural, and architectural heritage or resources of the town.
And I so move with Elizabeth's words.
and I will second Nancy Clark.
And an aye vote determines that the partial demolition is not detrimental, no demolition delay imposed.
Fran?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. A roll call vote, Jack Kay,
Aye.
George Jessup,
aye.
Marilyn Fifield,
Aye.
Nancy Shoemaker.
Aye.
Nancy Clark.
Aye.
Aye.
So you're all set?
Sorry.
You're all set.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone's attention. George, thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. I was happy to do it. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New
Just
Year.
just up the road at St. Peter's.
So the next hearing is Daniel Richards and Lynn Papal, 192 School Street, Katuitt, map 20, parcel 68, built 1914, not inventoried. Partial demolition, remove existing bay windows and front porch, remove wall for new addition, remove rear bay windows, rear deck, and window replacement alterations. Is there anyone here from 192 School Street?
Yes, Peter Kimball representing Dan and Lynn, and I'm also joined by Sandra Janes from Rule Janes Architects. Sandra's going to actually make the presentation, and if you guys want to put the plans and photos up, that would be great.
Thank you.
Oh.
So these are the exterior photos. We want to continue down through. I'll point out in this particular slide, it'll be clarified in the elevations, but the original section of the house dating back to 1914 is actually what I'm going to go ahead and phrase as the middle third of the house. So everything to the left and right are 1980s additions, as well as the rear dormer and the rear screened-in porch. All those parts of the home are non-original. Continue.
Okay.
So I think the next slide might clarify a little better.
Yes.
There we go. So you can see, I'm calling it thirds. It's maybe not quite, but the bay windows that are being referred to on the left and right sides, front and one on the back, those are all actually 1980s entities as part of the house, as is the entire rear porch area that we're removing. So As we proceed through the slides, I'll just kind of maybe focus your attention towards the front at the center of the home where we've labeled it as a 1914 structure in the center. Yeah, exactly. We continue. Great. Yeah, I think this is the best slide to show. So in the center portion of the house, we are doing a basic sort of window replacement part of the project, which these are non-original windows. So we'll be replacing in those openings. But the sort of area of concern, I think, today in the conversation is the center entryway here with this sort of shed roof porch, which, to be perfectly honest, we're sort of unable to confirm for sure whether that was part of the original structure or not. So yeah, and then the area shaded on the left is shaded as such simply because we're actually proposing for some program to actually come across that section of the front. So if we go to the next elevation, yeah, so we can continue. There we go, to the proposed. So the lower elevation is the south, that's the street facing elevation, and the areas to the left and right, again, are part of the 1980s edition, but in the center, we are proposing relocating the front door. And the reason for that is actually this home is really well situated as a age-in-place residence. So there is a first floor primary bedroom, and the owners are a retired couple, and the entry door as it currently is situated is just over 3 feet. I think it's actually 3'3" from the actual stair once you enter into the space. So the door just barely grazes the actual central stair within the home. And so there is some concern about mobility and accessibility in this age-in-place environment here that they're trying to set up. And so that's why we've pushed the door to the right. And then we've tried to integrate the 1980s additions a little bit more intentionally with the existing home, and we've connected the roof eave across the new entryway. Sure, if that's the last slide, but yes, I think so. So I guess I'm not sure if there's any questions about that scope of work. Happy to answer them.
Okay, let's go back to the elevations, please. Okay. Which is the front elevation facing the street? The south?
South, yes, correct.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
You're going to retain the wall dormers as they are with the alteration of the windows themselves, but not altering the dormers?
No alteration to the dormers, no.
Okay. Why these very small windows? Is that a horse stall?
No, it's the location of the bathroom. So it's providing a little bit of privacy inside the home.
They really upset the balance of the facade. And I think it's entirely possible to put shutters on the inside if you really want to close them off, or curtains otherwise, but to basically eliminate the window so that it's either a decent sized window or no window. I think you'd be better off with also balancing the window, if that's possible, under the left side dormer. The window adjacent to what would be the staircase, is that a lavatory behind the stair? Is there a staircase at that location inside?
There is a stair behind that wall, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no reason why you can't have a window on the staircase.
Sure,
That lets
I
light
guess.
in, it balances the elevation, and it gives you a bigger window.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I think the idea was that they wanted to let in some light without providing too much sight into the home from the street. Again, a little bit of privacy in that sense.
That's why you have curtains.
That's my point. The curtains and shutters give you all kinds of alteration of the lighting patterns inside, but you've got to start with something. And when you only have a 2x2 window, it's too many of those are showing up as privacy windows, and they actually give you next to nothing in the way of light. So I just as soon see a window that's double that size vertically to balance the right-hand side a bit. And also, you know, if you wish, shuttering or, you know, it might not even be a bad idea to use colored glass to change the interior light without providing any visual, without providing view of the interior. The one on the left-hand side, as I said, draw it over underneath that dormer if possible. And then those windows that are probably over the head of the bed.
So those are actually both in a bathroom. There's a
They're
powder
both in the
room.
bathroom.
There's two different bathrooms on that.
What's on the gable end? Wrapping around the corner to the left. So that would be what, the west elevation. Wait a minute, we missed it. The west elevation. Proposed west.
There it is, yeah.
All right. So you have a blank wall on the west elevation.
Yeah,
there's a blank wall coming around the corner.
There's a sink there. Not that, I mean, we can always work around some challenges. I think that the front of the house without any windows on that wall, I think becomes a little bit more sterile than having the two windows, and there's plans for landscaping in front of that. So not providing just a blank wall below the narrow band of windows, but a bunch of shrubs and other greenery is what the owners intend for that end of the house. On the page prior to this.
Well, I don't mind the gable end not having a lot of glass in it, but that's the west wall. That's the one where you get the most light. That's the one where you get the most solar radiation. And to turn it into a blank wall seems to be losing a great deal of opportunity. The east wall, I don't too much mind that, although that one has more appropriate glazing than the west elevation. I gather that that's a bedroom on the left-hand side of the gable end. And those are windows over the master bed.
They are, yeah.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't open or close them, and they're drafty in the winter. So it's a window that I see a lot of, but I don't see a good function. Let's go to the front elevation again, see if there isn't somebody else with some ideas on what might be done there.
I have a couple questions also about the fenestration. It appears that the center part of the house has, what is it, 6/6 in some and 4/4 in others, but they've got dividers, whereas the windows that are going in all appear to have nothing, just glass. And that changes the outlook of the house terrifically. A 1914 house to have windows with just glass.
1950s.
No, what they're changing to. The proposed.
Yeah, they want to go from a colonial window to a ranch window.
Yeah, and that changes the character terrifically.
I agree, Nancy, yes.
Well, the existing windows are a little bit of a mixed bag. Again, I'll verify again that the center part of the house is sort of the original structure. And so the left and right, they are the 1980s portions of the home.
I thought you were taking
and does that
off.
mean that they shouldn't have grids?
Right.
No, I guess I'm, pointing out that, the home as it's in its original state, was, I don't know if I want to say compromised, but changed fairly drastically in the 1980s when sort of these non-original details were brought into the project. So that's.
I mean, I can see even 2/1, which is what came in at that point at the 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
You can have lots of different variations, but to have a ranch window in a house of this age I consider it very inappropriate.
They're all casements. There's no double hung of anything there.
And why the picture window with a casement adjacent to it at half scale or half size, half width? Is it because it's an unusual window, or is it for a particular reason? Is there a room to the left and a center room taking advantage of those picture windows? Is there a view to the north?
Yes, there is a view of a pond. Yep.
But you want those eccentric windows rather than a balanced window.
They want a view, but they also want some ventilation. So it's giving them both of those things.
I can find windows. I can find windows that give them view and ventilation. The tilting sash casements. You can push the bottom out and get plenty of ventilation in a single pane picture window. So I know there's windows out there where you don't have to resort to a casement window and a picture window in the same casing. I think I'd rather see two balanced windows. You see on the right-hand side, we have a couple of hopper windows under the picture window. That's still awful busy and commercial looking. I think if they want ventilation of a picture window, it's available. And
so the conversation is turning a little bit towards the rear of the house where there actually isn't any original structure existing. Is that an appropriate area of focus, or is the focus of the conversation about sort of the original structure here on the front side?
Well, the original front elevation is showing the same fenestration issues that the rear shows. There's little or no balance in the design, which we very much like to see because of the historic nature of the houses. That's one of the principal features of the historic structures. They are a balanced design, a certain proportion, and it becomes a major design element. And when you start changing that without a pronounced purpose, it's unsettling.
I mean, do you feel that way about the 1980s additions as well, or do you feel like those achieve balance?
Well, I think the 1980s additions had a proportion to each of them that may not have been totally balanced with the original structure, but they were each in themselves balanced. Look at the existing south elevation. The left addition is proportional and balanced. The same with the right side. The windows are chosen to balance the elevation and create a certain prominence associated with that elevation, without detracting from the center portion. So, and I think we need to see something that indicates that there is an attempt to balance the design that way. I don't particularly like the additions. I think they detract from the center proportion, but that doesn't mean that they're not proportional unto themselves.
Just, making sure to benefit from your commentary here. There are often homes that, as we know, we have this pure 1914 structure in the middle. Is it more palatable, or, I often feel it's more appropriate to make a distinction between old and new and not try to pretend that something that is, of this date is not, try and pretend that it's something that is original. Would it be more acceptable to you if the center structure were differentiated as its own thing and left more pure with the windows, 6/6 or whatnot, and allow that to be the pure element with a clearer distinction between that and the current day modifications, like create a stronger, like a more specific line between old and new? Would that be?
I think that's one approach you could make. As I said much earlier, the problem I have is in using a window that really is not a residential window. It's a barn window. A 2x2 is a barn stall window. Using it as a bathroom window is inappropriate. It doesn't do what you really want it to do, which is to say, properly ventilate.
Excuse me, George.
Yeah, go ahead.
George, can I interrupt before I get into computer help again? So
okay.
This looks to me like it was originally a cape and they added the dormers.
The wall dormers, yes.
The upper dormers, yes. And if the central door is too close to the banister to get up the stairs, I would suggest, if George thinks it might be appropriate, putting a vestibule there where the front door is. That would give you more space. And I'm sorry, I live in Katuitt. I grew up in Katuitt, around the corner from this house. And I think putting, changing the windows and it is completely just erasing the entire historic structure of the house. So that's my opinion.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt, George, but I may.
No, you understand what I'm saying. The dormers were added in two different periods. The wall dormers are an appropriate addition 50 to 100 years after the original structure was made. Right. The rear dormer could have been made any time between then and now. The fact that it is so much wider than normal, which is to say it comes right to the edge, the end wall, and what you see for roof on either side is a projected gable, as it shows in the front elevation. So that's basically a 1950s or later full dormer on the back. Not that it detracts a great deal from the center section, but it indicates that it is a much later dormer. The two on the front are, as I said, between 50 and 100 years after the original construction. So they're called wall dormers because they're an extension of the wall, and that allows for the window to be deeper than if it were a roof dormer, which was the full intent. So that's why that existing south elevation center section is so nicely balanced because it was intended as a total design of the front elevation.
I'd like to just say that I agree with Fran. I mean, I agree with all of you to keep a more traditional windows in there in the 1914 area. But I really think Fran has a great idea because it is a problem to have the door open on top of the staircase, and something to really, for the architect to think about.
Yes, yes, yes.
I think that would solve everything.
Stepping it forward would not be a bad idea. It's something that was always contemplated when you built a house without an exterior vestibule, especially in the wintertime. You started looking for a place to hang the coats.
So any other comments?
Can sorry, can I ask a
Sure.
little bit of a process question? So, I guess you guys, it sounds like you guys are asking us to go back for a redesign on the proposed work. And,
I think we are.
I'd say yes.
And in that redesign, is your primary concern the front elevation? How much opposition do we have to the back elevation, and do you guys have purview over that? Because our understanding was that it was that the committee's primary objective is to, approve demolition and not new construction necessarily. So I guess I'm trying to understand where, not picking on you, just trying to understand where what we need to focus on in redesign if we're going down that path.
Our job is mostly to try and keep the historical part of the house, the structure, intact, and and just preserve that.
We like the fenestration to be period correct.
The thing is that anything that is done to a house is added to the house's history. But what you want to have at the end of the design process is something that is appropriate, that shows the changes as they happened. But it doesn't have to be, you don't have to put the same windows in every single row, etc. You have to be sensitive to the changes. So the front of the house, the back of the house, the sides of the house, they all count. And they're all part of what we purview. We don't have any purview over what's inside the house. We have no purview over what colors you use.
Yeah.
The materials that you use, yes.
Right.
And that includes the things that we've been discussing.
Sure. Okay. So, so that primarily going to impact the front and rear elevations, and the west elevation actually honestly isn't changing that dramatically. There's a whole section of wall that's wall now. It's going to be wall when we're done. And then the east elevation, there's one window on the east elevation, and there's going to be one window on the east elevation. So it's really the front and the back of the house that needs some focus.
I'd say yes.
Okay.
I did want to point out that there are new windows available. I don't know what you're proposing for windows, manufacturer or whatever, but I do know that there are some of the manufacturers like Marvin and Anderson have created windows that serve two functions, notably that the picture window can now be achieved with either sliding or outswinging hinges to permit that picture window becoming a ventilating opening. So I think you need to review the window choices for a balanced window rather than eliminating a picture window. I think that what you really need to do is look, see what's available that meets the ventilation requirement without introducing another casement window that's out of balance with the rest of the windows. Okay, that's the reason I mentioned that, because I know what's available and what isn't. So
shall we make him set a date for continuance? Our next meeting is January 17th. Is that too soon for you, Mr. Kimball?
I'd have to defer to Sandra because she's the one that has to do all the work. So
Is the applicant okay with the continuance?
Yes, go ahead, Sandra.
Oh, I was just going to say we can do our best.
Okay.
So I think it's a good target.
Okay.
Yeah. When do you need submittals for a January 17th meeting?
Probably the end of the second week of January.
Okay, so just before the meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
We typically send materials out, or try our best to send materials out to the commission a week ahead of time.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, would you like a motion for a continuance?
Yes, please.
Okay. So it's Cheryl Powell with regard to Richards, Daniel, and Papal Lynn, 192 School Street, Catuit, map 020, parcel 068, built circa 1914, not inventoried, with regard to a partial demolition to remove the existing bay windows and front porch, removal of wall for new additions, and remove rear bay window and rear deck porch, window replacement and alterations. I propose or make a motion that we continue this to the next meeting, which is scheduled for January the 17th of the new year 2023.
Is there a second?
Second that, Nancy Shoemaker.
Okay. And roll call vote. Nancy Shoemaker?
Aye.
Marilyn Fifield?
Aye.
George Jessup?
Aye.
Cheryl Powell?
Aye.
Nancy Clark?
Aye.
Jack Kay?
Aye.
Fran Parks, aye.
And just to clarify on the previous one, I was only, nobody had the motions, I was just proposing I could email them because they were part of the packet. But that you worked it out apparently, so that works.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Kimball.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And I hope window production speeds up for your sake.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
So, okay. So Marilyn, is there any Community Preservation Committee update?
Very little, but I'll tell you, yesterday's meeting was canceled, so nothing there. But on November 21st, which was after our last Historical Commission meeting, the chairman, Lindsay Council, wanted to inform the Historical Commission of the new CPC procedure for historic properties that would involve prior approval of the Massachusetts Historical Commission of historic preservation restrictions before CPC consideration of historic proposals. And this is after our experience with the Catuit Federated Church, where we went through the whole process and then found out at the end that the state wouldn't approve the historic preservation restriction. And I don't know what's happened after that, so I have no update on that. But anyway, so we're just changing sort of the time schedule for reviewing historic projects. Also at that meeting, CBC approved the application of Tales of Cape Cod for $125,000 to contribute to their funding for a new accessible entrance on the east side of the old colonial courthouse. And they have other funding involved too, of course. And I think the whole project is close to $400,000. And I don't think that's come before the town council yet. So that's my update. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to, Elizabeth, it's 5 minutes of 5. Can we continue on, or do we have to be done by 5 o'clock?
I believe Chair Parks, you can continue on. This meeting, it appears to be this month, was competing with Board of Health. So we are not being live streamed, but we're being recorded.
Okay, great, thank you. So the next item is the preservation awards criteria and discussion.
And Fran, I have to go, so you still have a quorum, and I have nothing else to report. Sorry.
That's okay, thank you. So, has everybody reviewed the preservation awards? We asked Nancy and Nancy to look at coming up with some criteria for the award project.
Which we did, and then we had, I think Cheryl and Marilyn were going to work on a further review.
Oh, really?
That was my understanding at the last meeting.
I thought at the last meeting, we didn't do it because Cheryl hadn't had time to review them.
Well, that was 2 meetings ago because they were submitted 6 minutes before the meeting started. And I didn't want to vote on something that I hadn't had a chance to review. And then at the last one, we still didn't seem to have things together. So we agreed to continue them. I didn't know Marilyn and I, that was great. But I mean, it's what was sent is still thank you for taking the Peter Zihan thing out, but it's still pretty much the same thing, but we still have 2 applicants on the table that have not been responded to since the deadline of May of 2022, which would be under the previous guidelines. And I hope everybody received, I had mentioned, I think it was 2 meetings ago, because this has been going on for a few meetings, that I was sure that I had found, after several hours, not only the emails, but the flyer that was put together by, this is the initial draft from Elizabeth Mumford, the late Elizabeth Mumford. That's why she's no longer on the commission, but she did a fantastic job. And this corresponds to the subsequent minutes that this was accepted, which references the rules and requirements that were previously discussed. And it also stipulates, and I'm quoting, anyone can enter their property or nominate a favorite. There were changes I made which were also limited. I think Elizabeth thought it would attract more interest if we put bribes accepted, and I did point out that we're in trouble if somebody offers a bribe, so that had to come out, and she agreed. But you know, she put this together, and this was supposed to be sent out to all the commissions, committees, historical stuff, and all that.
And thank you, Cheryl. We did get it. I appreciate that. And it looked familiar when I saw it, but I think I would have thought that would just be on one of the town computers. I was surprised you had to do all that digging, but anyway, I thank you for doing it. It's nice to have that. And I don't think that what was on that goes against what it was that we looked at last time. So I think they're pretty much.
I'm a little confused. I went through the 2018 minutes and I didn't see a copy anywhere of what the proposal was for the, you know, the awarding, you know, what the requirements were. I never could find that. And I also didn't see anywhere where they were accepted. It just after June or July, it just ceased to be mentioned.
Did you find? Well, yeah, it should. It was just. It isn't. But the and I did go back and I checked with Erin, who is our staff person.
I did that also. Check with her.
Excellent.
When we started, when I went on the subcommittee, and she didn't have anything.
So
let me go back to finish my sentence, please. So I did to contact her. She said, yes, she remembered the discussions about the rules and the requirements, but she couldn't remember the exact content, and she referred me to the minutes.
Okay, so we have some minutes, some things that were passed around last time, and we have this that was passed around this time. So everybody's seen both of them. Do we think that they're pretty much acceptable in their current state?
Define they. What are you asking? What with regard to which paperwork, please?
The paperwork that you found and the paperwork that Nancy and I put together.
Well, there are some differences. So for instance, the paperwork that was put together that is minuted is anyone can enter. You are excluding any town employees and board members.
No, that was with a question mark, Cheryl. We were not saying that had to be there.
But it is there. So that's it, one question. I think where I have a problem is I agree with, and I've stated this several times, I agree that we should update things on a regular basis. I have no problem with that. I promote that. But I think it is ethically and morally and professionally wrong if the intention is to take what is proposed for going forward and apply it backwards. We have.
I didn't say that should happen.
Good.
Never said that.
I didn't say you did.
I think that what we need to do, however, is to vote on these as they are stated, and then also vote on the people who and the place, the three that came before the subcommittee, which I think you were on that subcommittee, and I don't think it ever got passed through the commission itself. So I think those are two separate entities.
I was not on that subcommittee. That was Fran, Jack Kay, and George Jessup.
Okay, thank you.
So, well,
that's right. You weren't on that one. Yeah.
So I have a question regarding town employees and board members. And I think if, I don't know, I think that it, with the board members, it looks like that we're, just giving it to ourselves. And I also, maybe if a town employee out there, completely does a house and, and restores it, then that would be appropriate. But I have a problem with, giving awards to members of a board from people who are on the board.
You're specifically indicating, I believe, the application for Miss Atzelis, but the thing is, she actually helped to establish the historic district for Barnstable. She had her hand in many things.
But we're not talking specifics here. We're not talking specifics. We're talking about the rules going forward.
Well,
and should the rules going forward include an exclusion to town employees and to commission and committee members? And that's that I discussed. That's a separate thing than going back and looking at the awards that we're going to consider. There's two separate entities.
So at university, you go through various grade levels in the courses. And when you're doing that, you have to finish one course before you can go on to the other. So what I would like to do is to finish up with the 2022 before we start deciding what we're going to do on 2023. There is a standing motion of 2 on the table, and that is because of the way this was handled, and there are 2 applicants that have not heard anything for, it's now working, 7 months? I would like to tie that one up and then go on for the 2023 and figure out what we're going to do. I propose that we give them both a split award for all of their services, because I think it's I'll be minor here, wrong that they've had waits for so long.
We're going to finish with this that we started with, and then we can go back to the 2022 applications. But we started working on the criteria for the Preservation Award and Service Project Award and Service Award. And I think we need to finish up with that first. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a comment?
I'm a little confused about the term service. Why do we have the word service in that if it's not going to be for the people on the board? They're the ones that are providing the service.
I agree. Let me give you the Webster's definition of service award. And the definition of service is defined as, and I quote, a public service award typically recognizes uncompensated, distinguished public service to a community or the public through excellence in leadership or service. That's the actual definition.
Okay.
So the criteria that is in terms of service, in the past, this award has been received for such acts as researching, preserving historic documents, photographs, artifacts of Barnstable's past, authoring books on the history of Barnstable, offering lectures or tours on the history of the town of Barnstable, educating the public in our town history, participating in activities, missions of organizations dedicated to enriching and preserving Barnstable's rich history. So I think the purpose of the services award is not looking inward at the people on the board, it's looking outward at the people in the community that are providing services to pass on the history of the town of Barnstable.
And there's also a lot of overlap in many occasions and with most people who are interested in history. And you also have their missions of organizations. Well, that would also, organizations would be committees and all that. It's discriminatory to exclude people. Now, you've already just said when you started this, that if somebody does other things, well, then maybe they can be considered, but not if you outlaw this. I am very against excluding town employees and board members. I don't think people should be given an award for just serving on a board or a commission. I agree with you. That's for thanks.
But don't you think that in the future it could lead to that? Because it's written in here?
I think you can abuse anything, but nobody has yet tried to do that. So why do we have to jump down that rabbit hole now?
Because
May I say something?
Yeah.
Please, I do believe that we should not, and this is townwide, we should not reward people because they volunteered for a committee for doing work which is in the scope of the committee. If the town council wishes, they may single out anybody on any commission for honors at the town council level. That's within their purview, but I do not think that awards should be given by this committee to any member of a standing committee for doing the job of the committee. However, that does not exclude them from participating in awards that are for work or service beyond the scope of the committee. Work on a private property for an award may be considered. I think those are considered on an individual basis, and as to whether there was any, whether it was in the scope of the committee to which they were assigned, but they should not be excluded from participation on the simple basis of them being a volunteer or quote employee of the town. Does that help clarify it?
Clarify, George. So what you're saying is if somebody just serves on a commission and shows up for the commission, they don't get, that's not sufficient for them to get an award because that's giving ourselves a pat on the back for showing up. But
right.
For things such as campaigning against the destruction of historic properties outside of the commission, for keeping records outside of the commission and keeping them for historical prosperity. These are from Ms. Atlas, by the way. So for trying to establish a historic district and spread the interest in historic participation, that's beyond. And if you're saying that is within the scope of the award, then I would agree with that.
That's what I'm saying.
Not just to clarify, not just for showing up for a meeting.
Right. If it's within the scope of the committee to which they are volunteers or are appointed, they should not be considered for a pat on the back. But were they to participate in actions or deeds beyond the scope of the committee, they should be considered on an individual basis, as are all of our awards, for their initiative and their perseverance beyond the committee.
I agree with that.
Yep.
Okay. In other words, don't punish them for being a volunteer.
Thank you. Can we just repeat that? Don't punish them for being a volunteer.
Right.
So can we get back to these parameters for these two awards to decide if we're going to accept them or not?
Well, I think first we have to determine whether the application is within the scope of the volunteer activity on a committee. If it is not, then I think we can consider them. Shall we hear them?
As long as it's not for just serving as a volunteer on a committee, but people have other historical interests and they go far beyond outside of the committee. Those can be considered.
Especially if it's beyond the scope of their committee.
Thank you.
So that needs to be specifically added.
Specifically added, yes. And I've written down exactly what George said, which will be on camera. Which is why I wanted to make sure it was defined specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and also not just beyond committee, but you have to decide about other, you've put here town employees. I think that ought to go out altogether.
Well, we are considered town employees.
Yeah, we are.
And that's why I said town employees. You may have somebody that runs a bulldozer for the town and is making alterations to his home. He may also be considered. He's not excluded simply because of his employment.
But according to this, he is. It says town employees, full stop.
So I want to hear of the modified section so that we can add that to it and then maybe vote.
Marilyn and I will happily put, Marilyn, you're up for it since I see it's been suggested. Shall we have that all ready for the next one for the modification?
Yes, please. Because I had some changes I proposed at the last meeting, and I'm just realizing, I guess those never went anywhere, and I think there was interest in them, but I don't think they were ever shared with everyone else.
Oh, that's why I was asking earlier if we didn't have the updated one, because my understanding was Marilyn and Cheryl were going to work on those little tweaks to make it to where we can move ahead. Because it'd be nice to get this on the table.
For the next meeting. I think that's
yeah, I think we lost track of that, so that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
So,
George, I shall incorporate what you have stated. I think that's significant.
Thank you.
So has everybody had a chance to review the applications from 2022?
Yes, and would you and the subcommittee voted back on what they wanted us to do. Could you repeat that, please?
As far as the preservation of a project, it was 2-1 for the Cape Cod Times building. I You know, that's another question I have about this. I mean, do you consider a paint job being restored? I mean, that's basically all they did to the exterior was paint it.
Madam Chair, I would point out, I agree with you, but the thing is, you said that you were the one that recused or abstained. I think it was abstained on the basis that you did not feel that routine maintenance was worthy of it, which is fair enough. But you did take a vote, and I think that one should stand because a vote was taken and it was formalized.
It was formally proposed to the commission, and so the commission is the one that makes the decision.
You are correct. The vote is
okay.
taken to the subcommittee to submit that one for approval.
So can we vote on that?
On that particular one, absolutely. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know about the other commissioners.
Well, you can.
You know, a paint job is a paint job. If it were a painted lady, 6 different colors integrated in an historic format, that might deserve an award. But if it's simply painting the side of the building white with a couple of blue brackets, I don't consider that an historic restoration paint job.
Thank you, George.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jack. You actually said on the tape that you saw it as a old building painted. I think those were your words. Is that correct? I could be wrong. Am I muted or what? Jack, did you hear me?
Yeah, what did you say?
Oh, I said, correct me if I'm wrong, you actually referred to that application as an old building or an existing building painted.
That's what they did to the exterior. They just painted it.
So if we're taking it to the whole commission, then Fran, if you're still on, did you want to go to a vote or a motion?
Well, I just want to say when we reported back to the commission, I actually wanted the commission to vote on this at that time, but that didn't happen, and that was the start down a long road. So, do we still have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so I'll accept. I'll accept an emotion as to whether or not to accept the Cape Cod Times building.
Okay, to put it on the just to put it on the table, I move that the Cape Cod Times building, the people who worked on it and the work that was done to it be given a preservation award. Needs a second.
Is there a second?
I will second Joyce Jessup.
Okay.
I think we've discussed it from here to back.
I would agree with that.
So I'll do a roll call vote. Nancy Clark?
I vote that we do not give that award.
Jack Kay?
I vote no.
Cheryl?
I'm going to abstain.
George?
I vote no.
And I vote no.
And Marilyn?
I vote no.
Great. Okay. Next is the presentation for the award for Mrs. Atzelis for the service award.
There were 2 people that were nominated.
Yes. The other was
Alessandro.
Yeah.
Dominic Alexander, I think was his first name.
Right.
Am I correct in saying that neither of these people served on the Barnstable Historic Commission?
One of them did serve, but the application is for services far beyond her service on the commission for establishing a historic district. George, last time
okay. Thank you.
That you had not read the submission. I did type it out. Did you receive?
Yep. I've read both of them.
Thank you. George, did you manage to read them? Because last time that was a problem with both of them.
I believe I did, yes.
Okay. Jack, have you seen them?
Yes.
And Marilyn, you saw them, right?
Yes.
Did
Okay.
everyone get the typed one? Because I wanted to make sure that.
Yes, we got the typed one.
Okay, because the typed one's important because I clarified everything.
Okay, can we just move the vote?
There's already a motion on the table for this service award.
No, there isn't.
Yes, there was from the last meeting.
No, I'm sorry. That's.
So you're saying my continued motion is dismissed?
Was it voted to be dismissed? Voted to be continued?
Yes.
So give us the motion.
The motion was that we, I mean, we can then do them individually if we must, but the motion was that we honor both of these individuals because that is within our power for their efforts in historic preservation. It was seconded, I believe, by Jack, and then it was voted on to continue it because you asked me to withdraw the motion and I said no, but I would be willing to continue it.
Okay. So your motion is that we award both of them.
And then we have done with the 2022 awards that we award both of them. We thank them for their patience and for their interest.
I will not agree with that motion myself, but at the same time, I think that the last time, as I recall, that we had one of these individuals was nominated earlier, and that particular person, the commission voted that it should go to town council because she deserved recognition by the town, not by the historic commission.
Yes, it was stated in the subcommittee meeting by Fran that we told her, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I think I've got it right. We told Cheryl that to go ahead and take it to the town council. That conversation never took place.
No, I never said that. I never said that. I said to you that I contacted Jessica, and Jessica suggested that it be taken to the town council. And I have an email with that content. And you said that you'd contacted Nick Atzelis. And I'm sorry, that's the email I have. And then nothing.
So was there no portion that moved ahead to get her recognized by the town council?
Not as far as I know.
Can I weigh in, Madam Chair?
Please do.
So it was my recommendation that for the service of Marina Atzelis for the years of service, as we have done for many individuals, long-standing individuals on committees, that they be recognized at the council level. And I believe in conversations with Ms. Powell, I suggested that in deliberation with the council administrator, Cynthia Lovell, and with her son, they draft a certificate of recognition that he could present on behalf of the town council. And I'm sure the council leadership will approve such a thing. And but Cynthia Lovell has done many of these, and with the help of perhaps Ms. Powell, who recommended her for the award, that something be drafted, or certificate of recognition to be given at a council meeting.
That has gone to Cynthia Lovell. You're absolutely right. And you and I did discuss this, and I did send a copy to you of the typed version. Also was sent to Matt Levesque, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks ago. But Cynthia Lovell is fantastic at doing these things. I agree. But that doesn't, this was actually.
Can I just finish my thought? I'm about to lose my power, so I've got to go plug in. But you might, with the motion that's on the table that puts two people forward, you might want to bifurcate that motion and take them individually. That's Thank just you. A suggestion.
The thing is that when the first award came out the first year, what happened was Elizabeth Mumford checked it and said, yes, it is as per it's acceptable the way that it was put together, and yes, submitted. She then said that Jim Gould had won it, and Jim Gould was an excellent candidate. I cannot fault in any way whatsoever. But then Elizabeth said, you know, submit it next year. And you might want to think about the town council as well. And we did do that. I don't know what happened to that. I think that was a former member of staff. But anyway, you know, things happen. But whether the town council award should not in any way influence what we decide, because we have to decide what we stand for and what are we actually awarding. This is the Barnstable Historical Commission.
Yes, it is.
And no doubt town council will do something.
So I would amend that motion to say that we will take these two applications separately. Is there a second for that?
I will second that, Nancy Clark.
I'm going to go on record that I do not approve of that amendment to change to the motion. You can carry on, but I do not. I did not change that motion. You asked me to withdraw it completely last time, and I said I would. I'm not trying to be awkward here, but I think this person.
Not trying to be, right? Okay. Can we move ahead, please? We have things to do.
Yeah. So we have a motion on the table to give the award to Maria Atzelis for her service to the town of Barnstable, outside of her service on the Barnstable Historical Downtown Hyannis Board. Any comment?
Madam Chair, you do have a motion to bifurcate. It's been seconded. Are you going to act on the motion to bifurcate?
Yes. So I'll take a roll call for the bifurcation motion. Marilyn Fifield?
I think I'll abstain.
Nancy. George Jessup?
Aye.
Elizabeth Mumford? I'm sorry. Pardon me. Nancy Clark?
I didn't expect an answer there, did you?
Yeah, I know. Jack Kay?
Aye.
Fran Parks, aye. Cheryl Powell?
I abstain.
You abstain.
Okay.
So that's 4 ayes and 1 abstention. Is that correct?
2.
2 abstentions.
2 abstentions.
Marilyn and Cheryl.
Yeah. So does that still pass?
Yes.
Okay. So back to.
We wanted to separate. Now, do we want to vote on each?
That was to separate. Please? Now we vote on each one. Yes.
So the request for the Preservation Service Award to be given to Maria Atzelis is now on the table. And
I'll second. So we can move ahead.
Thank you. Move ahead. So is there any further discussion? Seeing none.
I want to thank you for clarifying that this was beyond her position on the commission. It was for the entire town of Barnstable. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yes, I think if the town council were going to give her any award, it would be for that service as a plank member of that board and a continuous member of that board for 20 some years.
24.
With regard to the Barnstable Historical, though, not the town council.
Yes, that would be the town council. So this is beyond that scope.
Okay, let's.
Nancy Clark, how do you vote?
I vote nay.
Jack Kay, how do you vote?
Aye.
George Jessup?
Aye.
Cheryl Powell?
I'd like to be considered last, please.
Marilyn?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain. Cheryl?
I will vote aye.
So that passes.
Thank you.
So then we don't even have to vote on the other one because we only have one award.
Well, I think that's unfortunate, and I hope the Hyannis Historical Society puts him forward again, because I think the gentleman deserves an award for all the work that he's done.
May I just ask a question?
Yep.
Sure, Marilyn.
Did we definitely say we would only give one award?
Yeah, can't we say it was a tie? We haven't even voted on them.
We'll have a motion on the table for that to be split. It was never withdrawn. You can now add, I believe you can now add another. I asked Jessica, I defer to Jessica. She knows far better than me. But I think it is within our power to split it and add another. Elizabeth, you may well know the answer to that as well.
I would say it's within your purview to hand out as many service awards as you deem fit.
I defer to your expertise. Thank you for clarifying that.
I think it's within our power to award more than one or none.
I agree.
And I think that's on an annual basis, based upon the applications submitted. If we feel that both applications in this case deserve an award, I think we should vote such award. If we think that neither should receive an award, I think we have the authority to do a positive vote there as well. So let's consider the second application and vote on that, whether we'd like to award provide an award for our second application as well. Thank you.
I'll second that if it's a motion.
I just made a motion, yes.
Well, I seconded it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion?
If you could just state the name of the potential applicant or
Potential recipient would be Dominic Alessandra for his work helping to restore the Hyannis Historical Society, and also for his work of regarding history
Captain's
of
Row.
Okay.
Yeah. So shall we vote on whether or not to present Preservation Service Award to Mr. Alessandra? Nancy Clark?
Yep.
Jack?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Nancy Clark?
Aye.
Cheryl Powell?
Aye.
Fran Parks, aye.
Marilyn.
Oh, sorry, Marilyn. I can't see you.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
So, any historical events open to the public anyone's aware of? The only thing I know.
Think about this. We have a lot of Christmas common activity happening around town. There's been an awful lot in the past week or two, but there may still be something out there. The lighting of the crutch at Osterville Square, for one.
Okay. The Santuit Katuitt Historical Society gift shop is open from today through Friday with 25% off. And then on 40, it'll be 40% off anything in the store. That's the only thing going on in Katuitt. And it said approve a 23 meeting schedule. Would that be to continue on the third Tuesday at 3 o'clock? Does that sound reasonable for people?
Yep.
It's for me, yes.
I believe I read the Senate, Massachusetts Senate has included in a bill to continue Zooming for another year. So.
That's good.
Yeah. So the final item is approval of minutes. And Marilyn, have you had a chance to review all these minutes?
No, I have reviewed February.
Oh, okay.
Madam Chair, can I make a suggestion? I have reviewed up through June. There are 10 months of minutes here. If everybody else has read them, I'm happy to make a motion to approve up to June, but I found a couple changes in July. So I would personally like to continue the July through November to our next meeting.
Well, I believe it's the clerk's job to review the minutes.
Oh,
so,
no, I'm just talking about, well, wait, it's all of our jobs to read them, but I
Yes.
to read the other.
Yeah. So I'll accept a motion to accept the February minutes of 2022.
I will so make that motion that we accept the February 15th, 2022 minutes.
Is there a second?
Second, Nancy.
And I vote yay. George, how do you vote?
I'll abstain.
On accepting the minutes?
Well,
Nancy Clark?
Aye.
I haven't read them because.
Just for the 1 month.
Yeah.
Marilyn?
I guess I had one minor change. That's probably doesn't matter.
And I vote aye. So February is all taken care of. Oh, God. I apologize for the problems with my internet. I have no idea what that was.
We all have them every once in a while.
So I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see you January 17th.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Cheryl.
Yes, Merry Christmas.